um, the matter of writing a will. There were some questions asked last time, which were very important questions. So, inshallah, I'm going to first talk about some of these questions about the will and the inheritance. And then we'll, inshallah, continue with another very important topic today, depending upon how much time we have, inshallah. Aziz. I'm hoping that I will not take maybe more than about 35 minutes, inshallah, 35, 40 maximum, inshallah. Aziz. So if you want to stay, then I'm going to start, inshallah, right now. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه اللهم سمنا من الشيطان الرجيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي صلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. One important question that was asked after the last talk was what if a father or a mother does not think that the Islamic rules about distribution of the inheritance, so two parts to the boy and one part to the girl, is not really fair. And he does not want to follow it, or the mother does not want to follow it. They have one daughter, for example, three sons, and giving the sons two shares and one to the daughter, the mother or the father, it's not really doesn't sound fair. It's going to make my daughters unhappy. So the question he asked me was, can I, in my life, distribute all my inheritance, my wealth, equally amongst my children? Let me repeat the question. So a father or a mother is asking, can I distribute in my life all my assets equally amongst my children? Well, here is the answer. Anything that you give to your children before you die is not inheritance. It's not called inheritance. You can choose to give whoever you want, how much ever you want to give somebody. It's your choice. It's not inheritance. Now, so don't think about it as an inheritance. You basically say that I want to distribute everything that I have equally amongst all my children, and then they would not fight about it after I die. So if you do this, supposing you are right now 50 years old, and you say, well, there's no guarantee to life, and I want to distribute everything equally, and you give everything up to them, but you need to have something to live on. You're not gonna give everything away and now you don't have to live on, am I right? Because you still have a wife, you still have children that you would have to look after. You have to make the payments of your house, you have to make payments on your car, you have to buy groceries, so you still would have to have some money. Whatever that leftover money is, you still would have to distribute it according to the law of inheritance. So at the end, supposing you gave everything away, but then when you passed away, you would have left $100,000, a house $400,000 worth, etc., etc. The rules of inheritance would still apply. So, what is the answer? If you want to give your daughters more than they will get according to the laws of inheritance, that will be a gift to your daughters. So you can say, I like to give each of my daughter $100,000. Your sons at that time do not have a right to object to it. Let me repeat. Your sons do not have a right to object to you giving your daughters some money beforehand. In some families, there's a problem when a father or a mother gives something to a child before she dies as a gift, as a hadiah. The other children say, we have to have the equal thing. You should treat each one of us equally. So give us all. If you're giving the daughter $100,000, then you should give all of us $100,000. Well, they have no right to demand that. So please understand that. Understanding the rules of Sharia is very important in this regard. They do not have the right to tell you, if you are going to give so and so this much money, then you have to give each one of us so much money. It's going to cause problems. I hope that clarifies that question. Now let's go to the next question. Your assets at the time, the value of your asset will be determined at the time of your death. Let me repeat that. The value of your assets will be determined at the time of your death, which is why it is said that as soon as a person dies and his debts have been paid, his burial expenses have been paid, dispose of the rest of his assets according to the laws of inheritance. Don't wait. And this is a very important point to remember. Here's the reason. And I was dealing with a case just a few days ago about this. A person dies, they choose not to distribute the assets. They say, well, we have time, we don't have to rush into this. We can just relax and grieve and deal with our sadness of losing our father. Let's just wait. And they wait. A month goes by, 4 months goes by. Now, if he had a house, at the time of the death, the value of the market value of his house was $400,000. A month later or 6 months later, when they now decide to deal with the inheritance, the value of the house is $600,000. So which value should be taken? The value you will take is the value of the house at the time of the death. So this question came up as a result of a family. The father passed away, and they knew the law of the inheritance, but the mother was still living in the house. And the mother did not want to move with any of the boys. She says, I'm happy here, I'm rooted here, I don't want to uproot myself and go live with somebody else. I'm comfortable here, I just want to stay here. So they says, well, sure, you can stay. The mom had 50% of the house. The dad and mom had decided that 50% of this house is yours. So she is now living in a house, 50% of its value is not hers. So she passes away 10 years later or 5 years later. Again, fight about the house. Now there's dual problem. The division of the 50% of the father's value of the house when he died and distributing it according to the Islam, and then division of the entire 50% of the mother's part. So the question was asked, so what should we do now? I said, this is what you should do. At the time that the mother passes away, when you are going to first deal with the 50% of your dad's inheritance that was in it, take the value of the house the day he died, market value of the house. Make sure that you take the market value of the house the day he died. It says, today the value of this house is $40,000 or $400,000. 50% of it is mom's. So $200,000. In these $200,000, these are the shares. This is what the boys get, this is what the girls get, and these are, if the grandfathers are there, they would get something, etc., etc., etc. The rest of the 50% of the mother's house will be based on the $600,000 because the rest would be her house. If there was an increase, it was an increase on her value of the house because that value was gone, finished. Does that make sense? Okay. Any other questions pertaining to inheritance and wills? Sorry? Yeah, I mean the value of the assets would have to be determined on the day the person dies. Make sense? So I have a house now. I die today. They would figure out what is the value of the house today, and whatever my other accounts are, here's the total. These would be the share after deducting if there was any debts to give the debts away, if there are burial expenses, or if he had made any deals with somebody, financials, it has all to be taken care of. And then distribution is decided. Twice for the boys, see one part for the girls. If the mother is alive, she gets 1/6 of it, etc., etc., etc. Now, the mother wants to stay in the house. The mother wants to stay in the house. She said, I don't want to move from here. I want to live here. So now the question is, the 50% from the dads, who wants to take their own share right now and who wants to hold on to this? Let mommy stay here. I'm going to take my share when mom passes away. So you take your shares if you are in need of money, and my share I'm going to leave in it. I'm going to take my share when mom passes away. There may be one brother, there may be two brothers, whatever. So now, the day the mother passes away, their share will be equally what was the value of the house at the time of the death. And they take this and say, okay, the value of the house was $400,000. We did not get our share at that time. So from that $400,000, our share becomes like this, and they take it. Now, you have to take another value of the house the day mom passed away. Because now you're dealing with mom's inheritance. And that will be divided up amongst all the inheritors at that time according to the Sharia. Does it clarify it?
Excuse me. Now you say that the value is the estimated value or it is the real value.
But
then there is a difference, you see, just to say the day of the death, then you go to from where you got this figure that is the value of the house. Then either ways, either you have estimated that or you have to sell that house for that date and that value. And that is, I think, the most proper thing. You see.
I understand. But the thing is, it would be very easy if nobody was to live in that house. If that house was to be sold and liquidated, then there's no problem. The problem comes in if the mom wants to live there. So in your case, what we do right now, how do I find out what is the value of my house today? So there is market values. I mean, you always go by the market value. Like this is approximately what you can sell your house for. So my house, for example, is getting older, so it's being devalued. 2 years ago, it was say $400,000. Today, it is $250,000. It has been devalued. The market value has gone down. So the only choice that we have is go by the market value. And if all the inheritors agree to it, no problem. Clear? Yes.
In the division of the value, as you said, at the time of the death of the father and the mother, if any of the child want to get his share when his dad pass away, so then he is out from the rest of the.
Absolutely. Absolutely, he would be. But he would be also part of the mother's inheritance now.
He will also get.
Because mother had the 50% of the property. So if you and your wife decided in your life that 50% of this house is yours and 50% mine, right?
Clear, but the division of the time of the father death and then later, if someone wants to get his share when the dad pass away, we said he will get the share when the mother pass away. So he is getting 2 shares.
He is going to take his share from the mother's part of the assets.
At that time,
At the time of,
when the father passed away,
no, let me clarify. So the father passes away. And one brother decides that I don't want to take my share right now because mom wants to live there, right? My share of this house in this house is right now, say, $300,000. And I'm going to leave it there until mom passes away. When mom passes away, they take either they sell the house at that time because if they don't need the house, they sell the house. So they, for example, they found out that the value of the house now is $600,000. That doesn't matter. What matters is that mom's share, according to her inheritance, how much is it? From dad's inheritance. And after removing the son's already owed inheritance, the remaining asset is mother's. Make sense? Still doesn't make sense? Okay. Is it clear? What is not clear? What part is not clear? You know, the rule is that the evaluation of the assets has to be done at the time the person passes away, not a year later. So they did not sell it on the day the father passed away. So the inheritance will be then passed on the day that the father passed away. So what was the value then? It would be divided according to that value. And from the rest of it, they can decide what they want to do with this. Because the inheritance was only applicable at the time of the person's death. Yep. Yeah. So, you know, the complications occur when people just don't make a decision to do it and they sit on it. And that's complications. And, you know, wallahi, I see families where they don't decide it for years. Say it again.
The difference between the house, the time of the death, 400,000. Years later, $1 million. There is 600,000. What will lose this money? How they can lose it? How they can divide this money?
Okay. I don't know. I don't know. Because if they all decided not to take their share, And this will just leave it as is. They all decided not to take share. So what happens if the market goes down and what was $40,000, because now the house is 10 years older? Necessarily don't values goes up all the time. My house's value has gone down. So 5 years later, what was $400,000 is now $300,000. Everybody lost. So the best thing is to follow the Sharia. That is the easiest way to do it. The more you sit on it, you either lose your benefit and then fights. Following the Sharia is the easiest way to deal with all of these things.
One actually was the relative was alive in the house. Meaning, at first, actually, there, but relative was alive.
Absolutely. Because that house that the father gave to that child was a gift, was not part of his inheritance. And this causes problems in the families, especially when parents do those things without writing it down and informing everybody else. If they don't do it, it's happening in my extended family right now. Two brothers, the father passed away, and what he did is in his life, like I said before, he divided everything between the kids, except the house he was living in. He was very elderly. He did not need much to eat, right? The kids were living out nearby. They would bring him the food, and he didn't need much. So he said, I'm going to divide it all up. The only thing that was left was the house he lived in. Because he and his wife was living in that house. That was there. So when he passed away, everybody said, now let's go back and do the inheritance now of this house. One of the brothers says, no, Dad, give it to me. Dad gave this house to me. Well, is there anything in writing about it? No, but he gave it to me. Is there any witness about it? Yes. Yeah. Is there any witness about it? No, it was just a thing between me and him. Not acceptable. Not acceptable. Please don't do these things. Don't say, don't tell your kids, don't tell your brothers, this house is yours. Please don't do that. Right? You know what? The two brothers, since the father passed away, have not spoken to each other to this day, and one of the brothers already died a month ago.
Because of the house.
The one who claimed that he had the house passed away. Now the question is, if it was his house, divide the inheritance. So it becomes unnecessary complicated things. We should make sure that we follow the Sharia and not make things unnecessarily complicated.
My work, they have the contract, if I pass away, they will give me time or I have time, my salary here. They need from me, if I pass away, for who this money for? Yeah, exactly, for my wife, for my kids, whatever. What's the best way to do?
If you named, for example, and it happened in many companies, they give you insurance policy and stuff. If you put your sign on a document says the beneficiary after me is my wife, it's hers.
The thing is that the next one, wife doesn't exactly my the wife passed away, there's a time. Who's the next?
Then you should, if you want to go next, then you should say it would be after my children, not one person.
They ask me how we can do it. I'm there to work. 66.
You know, the thing is, it will be after your death. You don't have it right now.
I mean, this is the house.
I know, but they have not, you don't possess that money. You can only inherit something that you possess, which is what you don't possess, you can't inherit. You can't do the rules of inheritance. You don't possess it. It's not yours until you passed away.
What name it for who and how the percentage?
You know, you can just, at that time, you can say it would be, the first beneficiary would be my wife. Okay? So that did it. If you say the rest of it, my kids take equally. You have that choice because you're still alive.
I don't get it.
You're still alive. You're making that decision while you're still alive. Am I right? So say, who are your beneficiaries? Who are your second beneficiaries?
My kids.
My kids. My 2 kids and my 4 daughters, whoever. Everybody gets equal share. You have that choice because you're not dead yet. Absolutely, because you're not dead yet.
But this was not going after I died.
You see, the thing is, you are making that decisions. It's just like gifting it because you right now don't have it.
I got it.
You don't have it right now. You are just gifting it and say, if I get this, as a benefit to my work that I've done for the company, my wife will be the first beneficiary, and then my kids will be the beneficiary. But again, if you have more than 1, 2, the first beneficiary will get everything. If first beneficiary was not there, then the kids will get it. Yes.
That amount will become future, we declare it according to Sharia.
Sorry, say it again.
This case, you can mention the will, but whatever comes after my death, I don't know the amount, how much it will be, has to be declared according to Sharia.
You can say this if you want to, if your kids will agree to it. Because again, like I say, as far as I understand, you cannot will anything to anybody that you don't have. So, for example, when I retired, they gave me, because they forced me to retire. They gave me some amount of money and says you cannot touch it. It's going to be in your retirement fund, right? I don't have that money until my retirement age, and I take it out. Am I right? So if I take it out, it becomes my money, right? So in those cases, it's clear. But what is not yours? So that money that you are going to be getting is only when you're dead. It's meant to be for the survivors. It was never meant to be for you. It was meant to be for the survivors. Am I right?
Can I do this? My brother, based on the Sharia law, something, please. I could now, for my kids, 33, 66. It's not
I suppose you can do it. I'm not sure. I suppose because you're alive right now, it says it's not going to be my money because the money is for the survivors. But I would prefer this to be distributed according to Islamic. I prefer that they will distribute it. No, so the beneficiaries, I would advise the beneficiaries to decide to divvy up that money according to Sharia. But you can't force them. I don't think, because it's not your money; it's for the beneficiaries.
Can you not write a will how to distribute the disbursement of the life insurance money?
Like I said, what you don't have, you can't decide anything. Simple. You know.
I put on the document for the kid, for the boy, 2 share and the girl 1 share.
But your kids have to agree to do that because, like I said, the money was not meant for you, anyways. It was meant for the beneficiaries.
Allah give you long life to get retirement. Don't think that way.
He can do whatever he wants because it's nothing about inheritance.
Yeah.
ليس لها علاقة بالميراث. Not ميراث. You can do whatever you want.
So like I said, if the children, if you in your life, explain to your children that after I die, these will be the benefits for the survivors that I will get. I would, it is my wish that when you get that money, that you divide it amongst yourself according to Sharia. It's my wish. They can't be forced. Wallahu alam, this is what I understand. You can seek further clarifications. Anybody else? Any questions? Yes.
Now the will is already written in the Quran. If you do that, why didn't you write the will in Quran? Then whatever legally a lawyer, and if you messing with them, they have no option, but they have to go that through that. That's all
Yeah.
they're going to do.
Yeah, you can do that as well. Like if you have a reliable person, if you have a reliable person who is going to execute your will, it's going to be depending upon the executor.
Like people lawyer, sometimes people get problem, you know, doing that.
If you want to give your estate and to a lawyer,
Yeah, just Muslim will. The
That's
lawyer
fine.
and then
that's fine. You can do that.
court, and they have no option.
No problem. If you give the power of attorney, if you give the power of attorney to your lawyer and give him all the information about your assets and say, please distribute it after my death according to these Sharia rules, and all your children agree to it, no problem, can be done.
The will, then we do the will.
I'm not sure what Al-Rashid is.
Ask the people, write your will, we have a
Yeah.
system.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Al-Rashid is doing, but what I have been doing for the last 30 years is that I prepare the will based on the Sharia rules now. And it has names of the executors, 2 executors, and 2 guardians if the kids are small. So attached to that will are 2 other documents. One document will be keep changing, updating based on the changes in the assets and liabilities. Keep it current. The main document that I prepared doesn't have to change unless there's an addition or deletion of an inheritance. And a third document I suggest for people to live your nasiha and your other things that you wanted to leave outside of the inheritance for the family. For example, about your burial. For example, giving them some nasiha about looking after each other, taking care of it, staying in Islam, not leaving your religion, those kinds of things. And that can be updated as well. But then one document stays within the family, and 2 executors take the responsibility to execute it. And then you control it. But it can be done through the lawyer as well.
I know. Sometimes also asking the parents actually put something here, you put back home, someone in line, and you have a business. And sometimes
As long as you have an executor that lives here. For example, I generally suggest, when I'm making the will, I suggest that make your first executor your spouse. Because your spouse is going to be here. And the second executor would be one of your children, if you have children. That's my recommendation. Or if you have a brother, or if your uncle that you trust who's living here, right? Make them a second executor. Sometimes people say, I want to make an executor my brother in Pakistan. And I says, please don't do that. When is he going to come from Pakistan to execute it? Please don't do this. You have to have an executor local who can execute it. And again, that can be updated in the will. So you can change that clause for the name of the executors and guardians as need be. That's not fixed. The only thing fixed in that is the shares. Okay, that was good discussion. Anything else?
One day I was entering the masjid where the Imam said, father has no right to distribute his wealth. Later on he said, because Allah has explained this thing in the Quran. Should be according to the Quran.
Sure. Oh, that's okay.
But in some cases, is it fair, like the father keeps the will with him, he is not showing that to any of his children, he is giving, he is doing discrimination, giving good things to one child. He is not
Being fair.
distributing it equally or according to Sharia. When he passed away, and then the children take their, look at that, well, that's straight for them. Let's start fighting.
Of course.
So is that on the part of the father? Is it real?
You know, it's not haram. It's not even fair. If he,
Is it my understanding, 1/3 of the will allowed to make it?
you cannot, from the 1/3, let me explain. From the 1/3 that you're allowed to make a will, like I explained to you, wasiya and will are two different things.
Well, 1/3.
Wasiya and will are two different things. So from 1/3 of your, which you Allah given you permission to give to somebody who will not already inherit from your inheritance. So you can't give more to a child who already will have a share. That means the 1/3 is for the purpose of, and like mentioned, it's the part of economic system of Islam. You know, because there are poor people, there are poor relatives who don't have enough to live by, but they don't qualify to receive anything from your will. And you can make the will for them, says, you know, from my 1/3, I would like give to my poor sister, or I would like to my poor nephew or whoever, and I would like to give this money for charity to dig a well for me, to make a sadaqah jariyah for me. That's what that is for. But nobody does it, by the way. For 30 years that I'm making this, not one person that says 1/3 I give to somebody else. Okay, anything else? What time it is now? Are we 35 minutes? We have gone 35 minutes, 40 minutes? Okay. Okay, I would just stop and I just introduce the next topic for the next Friday. The next Friday's topic is this verse of the Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. ولا تأكلوا أموالكم بينكم بالباطل وتدلوا بها إلى الحكام لتأكلوا فريقا من أموال الناس بالإثم وأنتم تعلمون. Do not consume, do not grab one another's wealth by unjust means. Do not grab one another's wealth and assets by unjust means, nor offer as a bribe to the officials in order to give the decision in your favor, which is very common in our countries. To consume the part of other people's wealth illicitly while you know. This is the verse that we're going to discuss, and exactly the implication of this today in our lives as to what are we doing, inshallah. So that's, inshallah, next Friday's topic. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi. ربنا تقبل منا صلاتنا وقيامنا وركوعنا وسجودنا ودعاءنا يا رب العالمين. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب القبر وقنا عذاب الحشر وقنا عذاب الميزان. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان واجعلنا من الراشدين. اللهم توفنا مسلمين والحقنا بالصالحين غير خزايا والمفتونين. ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي يا رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات. صلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك.